The reason it can be so hard to start showing up online when you're just getting started is because it feels like you're speaking into a void. You're talking to an inanimate object when you're recording on a camera. And that can be really difficult if you don't know who you're talking to, especially if you're somebody who likes the real-time feedback of a conversation. So how do we navigate this? I have a tool for you. I have something that I implemented that I'm using right now as we speak. So let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to Creator by Design. If you don't know me, my name is Hallee. I've been a creator for 5 years now. I have created all the types of content under the sun. I grew my following to over 1.8 million online, and then I went on this journey of reconnecting to my creativity. And here we are today. I want to share a lot of the lessons I learned with you and a lot of the advice that I wish I had back then that I think would have saved me a lot of time and struggle. So I'm going to be so real with you guys. This is episode 3 of restarting this podcast. And last week's episode was rough. I overthink. Yes, I do in fact do that. And I'm willing to bet I often attract overthinkers as well. So if you too are an overthinker, I think you're going to resonate with this message before I get into this week's episode topic. But I find that if I over script my episodes, like last week, I was trying so hard to philosophize and make sure everything I was saying was perfect and perfectly articulated and made total sense to everyone across the sun. But then I realized I wasn't even listening to my own advice, which was speak to the person you're speaking to. Your advice is not going to resonate with everybody, naturally. And if you make yourself overthink like this, you're just going to get stuck. And past me probably would have thrown the camera across the room and not finished recording the episode last week. But I powered through. Overthinking and all. I powered through. So if you two are an overthinker, I hear you, I see you, and that's a lot of what we're navigating here, okay? So let's get into today's topic. I call this personifying the camera. And I actually learned this technique from my acting classes. I started taking acting classes like 2 years ago, part of on my creative journey of trying to reconnect with what do I actually want to create? What do I want to do? What do I want to say? Do I want to be a dancer, a singer, a business person? Like, what do I want? Like, what am I trying to do here? Do I want to be a content creator? So I started taking acting classes, and I've found that so much of what I learn in those classes is directly applicable to creating content because you're working with a camera, you're working with a theoretical person. Like right now, I'm talking to a camera, but what I'm about to teach you right now, it's called substitution. And there's this specific exercise that I learned in my entry-level acting class, which they called the hot person exercise. And so what the hot person exercise is, say for example, I was doing a scene with Joe. Say Joe is in my class, Joe is sitting next to me, and I'm doing a scene with Joe. And in that scene, I have to be in love with Joe, the character Joe is playing. But because Joe is my classmate, not my lover, I'm not actually in love with Joe, but I need to portray on camera for the scene that I am in love with Joe. So what you do is you replace the person with someone in your real life that you are currently in love with or were in love with in the past. And this is a tool that you can use often in acting in various situations to elicit a real emotion and a real connection with a person that you don't actually have that connection with. So, how does that apply to showing up online, to camera confidence, to speaking articulately and in a way that is very conversational with the camera? And I'll say there's also the added complexity layer of the fact that if I was doing a scene with Joe, I actually get to speak to a human being and play off of a real human being's energy. But right now, what I'm doing, speaking to a camera, speaking to an inanimate object, I don't have any of that energy to play off of. So what do you do here? There's an added layer, I think, of challenge here. And so if you are struggling with showing up online, valid. valid. You're speaking into a void. I mean, what do you expect? So how do we not speak into a void? We use this same idea of a hot person with the camera. So you personify the camera. But it's not that simple. I can't just be like, okay, well, cool, I'm talking to my mom now. You have to actually connect with it. So let's get into the steps for how to do that I kind of created for myself from inspiration on that exercise that I now use to get in the flow on camera. So we're kind of getting into an exercise right now. If you are driving or doing something, I would recommend pausing this and at least thinking about it. But if you can, at each step in this exercise, pause the episode and like write these things down so that you can kind of work through it with me. And if not, come back to it later, because this truly is, I do this in my workshops and it was like a big like, whoa, aha moment for people. So the first thing I want you to do is describe who you are today as if you were creating a character. So you want to describe, what are your character traits? What are your values? What are your beliefs? What do you like to talk about? What are your interests? What do you do? What do you wear? What's your favorite color? Get as descriptive as you possibly can. This is a creative exercise, right? So pause this and start writing yourself out. If you had to describe yourself like a character in a movie, how would you describe yourself? So pause that and start doing it. And then we'll get into step 2. Okay, I'm assuming you're done with the pause, or you're gonna come back to it later, okay? So the second step that you're going to do now that you've either paused it and thought about it, paused it and wrote it down, you are going to think about, who is my ideal audience member? Now, you maybe have someone that immediately comes to mind. Maybe it is a family member, a sibling, a parent, a friend. Maybe it is. Or maybe it's someone completely different. Maybe you don't exactly know who this person is. So I want you to take a second to think about, who do I want to be speaking to? And again, let this be a creative exercise. You're building a character here, right? So first you built the character of like, who am I? Now I want you to build the character of, who do I want to be speaking to online? Ideally. And if you don't know, like I said, get creative. Just design this person. Come up with their favorite color. Come up with their hobbies. Come up with their interests. And maybe a little bit about why you want to talk to that person. The more detailed you can get in this and the more creative, the more you'll get out of this, I promise. Okay, so pause this. Pause it. Okay. And then come back. And we're back. Okay, so now I want you to take a look at the 2 characters that you just created. I don't think this is going to turn out the same for everybody, but I'm actually very interested to see what you guys see. So if you've done this exercise, even if you just like thought about it in your head for a second, drop in the comments what realization you're about to come to right now. So do you see any similarities between these 2 characters, the you and the ideal audience member? And if so, what are the similarities? Think about it. Take a second, pause it again if you need to, and think about, what are the similarities between these 2 characters. Now, the reason I did this in this order, and the reason that I haven't said what I'm about to say yet, is because if you had this realization, I wanted you to come to it on your own. If not, totally cool too. This exercise still works either way. But 9 times out of 10, the person that you are speaking to in the camera, if you want to show up online, you want to share advice, you want to do something, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a past version of yourself. Do you see that? Is this what happened in this exercise? I'm genuinely so curious. I did this in a workshop and everybody was like, oh my gosh. And it was the coolest moment ever, because we all had this realization that the person we wanted to speak to online, the person we wanted to create for and show up for, was a past version of ourselves. So tell me in the comments, if you did this exercise, what realization was it for you? Who was this person? And now that we've had this little moment, this little, whatever you want to call it, journey together, how do you apply this to being on camera? I'll tell you what I do, okay? So I'm very aware now that yes, I am speaking to a past version of myself, because I wish the advice I was giving right now, I had found 3-4 years ago to help me walk through a lot of the struggles I went through as a creator, as a creative on the creative journey, right? So when I show up today, for example, I outlined my episode. I didn't script it because this is meant to be a conversation. We're having a conversation right now, right? And we want this to be conversational. And so when I talk to the camera right now, I am speaking hypothetically to a past version of myself, because I know naturally that there are people out there who are having the same struggles I had. And now I can genuinely and authentically connect with you because I was in that struggle and I know what I was dealing with, what I was thinking, and all those things that I was coming up against at that time to now help you. So when you do this, the more that you can connect to that audience member, the more descriptive you can get about who that person is you're talking to, and then ideally replacing them with a real person in your life or a past version of yourself, you're going to be able to have a real conversation with the camera that feels like we're talking in real life, because we are having a conversation. It's just replacement. This is interesting, that realization I came to about acting. One of the biggest misconceptions is that acting is faking. But my acting teacher, what she said blew my mind, and I'm going to try not to butcher this, but she said, acting is authentic expression under imaginary circumstances. So right now, I'm authentically having a conversation with you under imaginary circumstances because you're not really here right now as I'm recording this. But if I'm able to authentically express in the moment and connect in that real way, then that translates to you online. This is why I'm so fascinated with acting right now, you guys, because there are so many parallels to content creation and the world of creators, the creator economy. So I want to talk about all that more in coming episodes, but tell me in the comments what you learned today, any realizations you had, and if you need accountability implementing this exercise that we did here today, I'm launching a secret group. This is a very exclusive, I'm only letting in 10 to 20 people. I'm only keeping it open until Halloween at most for free. And these are going to be the founding members of the community. So if you want to join, if you want to be a part of it, and you want to implement these things that we're my camera overheated. Okay, what was I saying? My camera overheated, so that cut me off mid-sentence. If you want to join the secret group, there's a link in the description to do so. Like I said, it's free for the first 20 people or open until Halloween. So join now. There's a little application to fill out, and after that, I'll be in touch. So I hope to see you in there. I hope this episode was beneficial. Share it with someone you think it would help. Give it a thumbs up if you're on YouTube. Follow the show, subscribe to the show, leave it a review. That would really help. I'm self-funding this podcast because I really want to give back and teach a lot of these things I learned. So I would appreciate any and all of the support. Like I said, hope it was helpful, and I will see y'all in the next one.